It's Troop 345, EPrep. This is going to be the fourth video, and we're going to focus exclusively on page 5. This is an important page where we go through some personal emergency response skills. Now, we've talked a lot about personal preparedness. We're going to, in first aid, you talked about skills. We're going to talk about some specific skills necessary for the EPrep course here that are personal skills that you should learn. So number 3 here, it says, show how you would safely save a person from the following. And the first one, it says, touching a live household electric wire. The problem with electricity when people touch it is that sometimes it'll cause a muscle spasm. They'll grab onto it, or perhaps they fall into it, and they continue to be getting electrocuted. Now, in most houses, we use, when you plug in, 110 volts, but sometimes our garages and certainly our washers and dryers that use electricity, or our range-top stoves, will use 220. 220 is far more dangerous. 110, you could generally quickly push someone off using something like maybe a piece of wood, or being resourceful, you could use maybe a rug or something, or you could literally, if take a rubber shoe and push someone off. Now, 220, the problem with that is that electricity can arc. You have to be very careful. First of all, make sure there's no water around, because the water will cause conduction of the electricity, and you too can get electrocuted. But you can't get that close to the person, because sometimes the electrical current can arc and hit you, and just a flash of 220 could kill you. So if you think that it could be 220, make sure you use something long and non-conductive, like a wood board or a long broom. You could be resourceful, and anything that's wood, you can push them away. You could, and in best of all circumstances, find the source of the electricity and turn it off. The second one is, how do you save people from a room filled with carbon monoxide? Remember, carbon monoxide is odorless, tasteless. The only way you can know that carbon monoxide is the cause of people being unconscious and in trouble is to suspect it. If you walk into a carbon monoxide filled room, unless it's very high concentration of carbon monoxide, you will have time to go in there, throw open the windows to ventilate, get those people and pull them out. Actually get them out of the room and then call 911. This might be a case where you actually respond by going in there, opening windows, clearing them out, and then calling 911. Get them some fresh oxygen. The next one is clothes on fire. I think most of you guys know this one well. You want to stop. Now, if a person has their clothes on fire, they might panic and start running. You've got to make them stop, because running fans the fire. You need them to drop. Stop, drop, and roll. And many times people aren't in a panic, but that's what you need to do. If it's just a regular fire, you could throw water on them. You could grab another piece of clothing or anything around and smother them, cover them up. You can cover them with dirt, you can cover them with clothing. You could cover them with your own clothing if you took it off and used that to suffocate them. But again, make sure you don't get yourself caught on fire at the same time. How do you save someone from drowning in, let's say, deep water, and you're not skilled in the art of water life-saving? You have to be very careful. An important point here is that when people are drowning, they panic, they will grab onto you, and they will pull you under. So your first option is not to get close to them. Again, you can extend something long to them so they can grab on it and pull it in. You can throw a rope to them. You can bring the bow of a boat to them. Sometimes there will be rafts around where you could swim the raft out to them, let them grab on one end of the raft and pull back. If they do grab you, and remember this, if they do grab you and they're pulling you under, the best thing that you can do is go deep. Go under, they'll let go because they're going to panic again for air. Then you can come back up and try other things. If they pass out in the water because they haven't got enough air, at that point it would be safer for you to grab onto them and bring them to dry land or to a dock. Okay, now this next part says describe. Describe how you would assist someone at a car accident who might be unconscious. Remember, when you show up to a disaster area, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to tell somebody to call for 911 if you can. So you get people to call for help, you look around, make sure that there's no other chances of other people getting injured or yourself getting injured, and then you can go and respond to the person that's in the car unconscious. The important thing here is don't just pull the person out of the car and start your ABCs. Always think of head injury and neck injury. So if you're going to get someone out of a car, make sure that you have someone helping you. Otherwise, you can start your first aid in the car, making sure that their neck stays straight and safe. F is, how do you attend to someone, or how do you help someone who might have fallen from a height or a bike, and they end up with a broken leg or a dislocated shoulder or a broken arm. The important point here is you first are going to calm them down, make sure that you're safe, they're safe. If you can, call for help. And then you're going to attend to the extremity and make sure there's good blood flow to it. If it's a real bad break, you might have to reposition it back into more of the natural position that it would be in till you get good blood flow. And then being a Boy Scout and being resourceful, you can find different ways of splinting that in the position of most comfort. Now, the reason that shoulder is in there is to remember that the way that shoulders are dislocated are back like this. So this is actually the position of comfort if you're going to have to try to carry someone out of the woods. If you can't get the shoulder back in, you would splint them in a position about like this, and that's where they're going to be most comfortable. If they're comfortable like that, they can probably walk, and you don't have to carry them. If you splint an arm or a leg in a comfortable position, those people will be able to help you get them out by using their other limbs. If they're not splinted in a comfortable position, they'll be incapacitated. G, construction accident. Somebody's bleeding from a large vessel and they're bleeding heavily, and you come upon them. What are you going to do? The first thing you're going to do is call for help. You're going to look around and make sure that you're safe and the other people around you are safe. You're going to attend to that bleeding. The important point here, the best way to attend to rapid bleeding from a vessel is what? Direct pressure. Direct pressure. Not big broad pressure, but direct pressure on the area that's bleeding. If you are in trouble, nobody else can go for 911, or he has several wounds, you can use a tourniquet. A tourniquet means something wrapped around that arm, let's say a belt, or an electrical cord or something like that, tight enough to cut off the blood flow so that they're not dangerously bleeding that blood. If that's only when direct pressure isn't an option for whatever reason. So make sure that you understand and learn proper use and when to use tourniquets. Tourniquets can only be left on for a short time, so once that bleeding is stopped, you have to get help and get the person in the right hands. Let's say you're in a neighborhood, you're walking down the neighborhood, and all of a sudden the lady across the street starts yelling that her 2-year-old has turned blue. He was just sucking on a little candy. And you run over there and you look at him. Well, the first thing you do is you yell to somebody to go call 911. The second thing that you do is, well, you know that he didn't fall, so you don't have to worry too much about his neck being injured. You do ABCs. If the baby is not moving in the air and he's turning blue, then you have to do the equivalent of the Valsalva maneuver to move air through that airway. You can take that baby, if you're strong enough and the size is compatible, you can turn him over and back blows, boom, boom, on his back, and you'll probably save him just doing that. If he's too big or you're not strong enough, you can put him down and you can do belly thrusts where you're trying to get air to force through, or you can do chest compressions to try to pop air through the airway to pop that piece of candy out. So those are just a couple things that you should be skilled at, but know to call for help, look around, make sure everybody's safe and you're safe before diving in. Number 4 here is show 3 ways